Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology, and today all things Jupiter conjunct Chiron March 2023 and you. How this transit is both triggering your deepest wounds of inadequacy, of shame, of guilt, but also freeing you from them. When Chiron, the comet of the wounded healer, meets up with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, meaning, and wisdom, it presents a painful pathway to walk. It can bring these embedded stories of where it is that we feel like we are not enough, where it is that we feel like we've had to be someone else to have approval, to feel validation, where it is that we feel like how it is that we fundamentally are to our core is wrong. But it also, if we are willing to walk down that pathway and revisit those wounds, it promises that we can find something different within that journey. There is wisdom in the wound. And that is what this aspect is all about. How it is that we alchemize, where it is that we have inherently internalized that we are not enough, that we have to be someone else. And how it is that we can alchemize those feelings into something else, into wisdom for ourselves, for others, into healing for ourselves, for others, and for freedom. This transit demands authenticity, vulnerability, and honesty because this conjunction lands in the sign Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It represents the raw spark of life, who it is that you are before the world told you who to be. And with Jupiter on Chiron, it's revisiting where it is that we feel like we've had to be something that we are not in order to get validation, approval from others. And with Jupiter meeting up with Chiron, it asks for us to revisit that part of you that I know is within you, and to be able to reclaim those parts and decalcify the parts of you that are still within you, that are authentic, that are raw, that are true, and being able to kind of melt away the mask that you felt like you've had to project in order to feel accepted by others. Because with Jupiter on Chiron, it's asking for deep vulnerability about our journey. Aries is forthright, it is honest, it is direct. It is requiring us to be honest about where it is that we are within our journey, because that presents an honest and authentic pathway for healing. I think we would all be so much further if we stopped the competition around trying to pretend like we are something that we are not, or trying to project something that we are not, or pretending that we are okay when we know that we are not. Because collectively, this is sort of a triggering of the shadow side of the suffering that the collective is moving through. But with Jupiter on Chiron, there is this expansion that is found around our own healing journey, reclaiming it within ourselves, reclaiming it within the collective, as well as embracing this sensation that it is okay not to be okay. And when we are honest about where it is that we are within our healing journey, we can inspire and way show for other individuals as well. So while it is not necessarily a cookie cutter, light and fluffy influence, certainly when Chiron's involved, it's sort of like the scalpel sensation where it kind of digs out the wound, digs out the hurt, digs out these old stories within us, but for the purpose of getting that abscess, that sore, that hurt out, right? And alchemizing it into something different. Because the story of Chiron doesn't just stop with the initial wound, with those stories that you have told yourself that I'm wrong for being the way that I am, or something about me is off, or it's not safe to be the way that I am. The story doesn't stop there. It's about what it is that you do with that wound, how it is that you reclaim your authenticity, how it is that you use where it is that you've had to build yourself up and make yourself feel safe to shine out yourself, how you use that story to shine out, illuminate, and way show for others, how that pain is the pathway. Chiron is the story of embodied empathy, in that the sort of empathy that occurs when you have walked through that path, truly. Chiron is painful, but it's not without purpose. It asks us to really sit with where it is that is being triggered within us, and how it is that that particular story, that path that we have walked through, has presented us this unique medicine, this unique voice, this unique perspective that we can use to enlighten and illuminate the collective. And so within this reading, we will be both diving into the collective expansion of this journey, as well as looking at where your chart is being activated, because that will be a life arena that, yes, is subject to some triggering in this arena, but also freeing from those stories, right? Freeing from where it is that you felt like you've had to wear that mask and be something that you are not. And when it comes to this transit, there's a lot of beauty in letting our guard down and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. And this video was so important to me to share because I feel so deeply connected to Chiron. Chiron is very, very active within my birth chart. And I also deeply resonate with Chiron as a mythological figure, as an archetype, as a comet in astrology. And I do believe that this month provides potent opportunities for healing, for wisdom. And as you dive into this work, granting yourself the space to embrace where it is that you are in its rawness, in its unfinished energy, right? Within my birth chart, I have Virgo moon and Virgo rising. So there is this energy, since Virgo has to do with perfection and the finding of perfection. There has been a part of my journey where I do feel like I have to be put together, all perfect, all good. My issues are not your problem. I'm just going to hide them behind a polished veneer or anything of that nature. And lately I've been really experimenting with this Jupiter on Chiron energy around allowing myself to show up, even if it's messy, even if it's vulnerable. To give an example, I've struggled with anxiety ever since I was a little girl. I've just perpetually been very, very nervous, but I constantly hid it. I didn't manage my symptoms because I just acted like they did not exist. And I felt a lot of shame for struggling in the ways that I did. And within the last year, I've been prioritized managing my symptoms a little bit more. And to manage your mental health and to support your well-being, you firstly need to face it and be honest about it, and to let down that guard around feeling like, I need to be perfect. I need to be put together. And as we kind of embark upon this very, very healing wave of energy, I want to share with you all a resource that has been so helpful for my healing journey and can provide illumination for your healing journey. And that is the mindfulness app Aura. Aura is essentially like the Spotify for mindfulness, for sleep, for meditation. It has over 7 million people on the app, and it won a Best of Apple award. And this is your all-in-one app for well-being, for sleep. It has CBT, it has life coaching, breath work, anything that can be utilized to support your well-being, your relaxation, your peace is on this app. And what's so cool with this energy of Aries, there is a energy around embracing our own story, right? Aries is a sign of self, and not every healing journey is one size fits all. And that's what I love about Aura, is that it's deeply personalized and tailored to your needs. So I've customized the app so that it alerts me at certain times in the day. So I'm really committed towards doing this work, right? And it's personalized for what it is that I am working on. So these are the categories that I selected around where it is that I am moving through, what would most support me at this moment, and the meditations and life coaching sessions are all tailored towards that. And as I highlighted, I've always been a quite nervous, high-strung individual. And one way that I have learned, a coping strategy, again, not a healthy one, to mitigate my symptoms is constantly having podcasts and YouTube videos playing. Now, much of it is sort of like low vibrational, but I can't stand the silence. Like if it's silent, then my thoughts just feel so loud, and then I just feel like I can't breathe. So when I'm going to sleep, when I'm waking up in the morning, the first thing that I do and the last thing that I do is find some media to play in the background. And I didn't think about how much that was affecting me, because much of this content is like low vibrational or kind of not the best for my subconscious to be like kind of drinking up 24/7, right? And so in shifting that part of my routine to the life coaching sessions on Aura has been truly night and day when it comes to my mental space. I feel so much more inspired as I start the day because I'm consciously feeding my mind inspiring information. Like shout out to Tina. She's been one of my favorite coaches as of late. Like her morning, I think it's called like morning hype up set or something of the nature. Oh my gosh, that is like my favorite every morning. Like listen to that and tell me you do not feel like $1,000,000 and ready to conquer your day. Like I am telling you, what it is that you feed your mind makes a difference. Okay. So I've just been more conscious around what it is that that I'm feeding my mind, and I've been sleeping better. I've been feeling more calm as I navigate my day. I've been feeling more inspired to share with you all. And so what I've found has been the most helpful has been the life coaching sessions, and it's just because that's like the sort of inspiring data that I need within my mind. But where are you at with your healing journey? What would support you? I guarantee, take a look at Aura and see how it'll support you. They have breathwork sessions, meditation sessions to meet you where you're at, whether you're craving more peace within your day-to-day, looking to have more fun, looking to sleep better. Take a look at Aura, because I guarantee you, from all of the different coaches that they have, all of the different modalities, there is something that'll support your mind and your healing journey this Jupiter conjunct Chiron. So if you want to check out Aura, which I deeply suggest that you should, you can get started completely free using my special link. And the first 500 people get 25% off. A healthy mind and a rested body is worth every cent, truly. I've gotten so much value out of it, and truly, as we collectively prioritize our healing journey and being honest and being vulnerable around where it is that we need support, it is totally okay to not be okay. If anybody else has Virgo Capricorn placements and feel like they need to pretend like it's all okay all the time, it's okay to be in need of support, and this is such a great resource to support your mind, body, and soul. So I deeply recommend, check it out, grab your free trial, get one of those 25% off codes before they run out. Aura, thank you so much for sponsoring this video and for creating the amazing resource that you've had. It's truly made such a difference within my world, and I am so grateful. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into collective themes, Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Jupiter conjunct Chiron exacts on March 11th, 2023 at 10:53 p.m. PST. The conjunction lands at 14 degrees Aries. And while that is the date and the time that it exacts, that is not when the healing, powerful potential is limited to. Truly, I want you to give this one a nice cushion, because we do feel transits as they come and we feel them as they go. So this energy will permeate much of March and perhaps even some of April as well, as these wounds are activated, investigated, and illuminated in a beautiful way. And that is really the pathway of Chiron. And as you navigate this astrology, it's deeply important to keep top of mind this idea of there being wisdom within the wound and really feeling it to heal it. Because when it comes to Chiron, it can be a bit of an ouch. It can trigger certain insecurities and feelings of inadequacy that we've forgotten that we even had. We watch a movie and something that character says to someone just hits you weird, where you think of an experience that you had when you were 7. Or, you know, you are experiencing a certain conflict within your relationship and it triggers a certain wound of your past relationship that, again, has nothing to do with the current situation, but it just sort of triggers something within us. And that's the theme about Chiron, is that it's sort of like, as we navigate this month's astrology, we're all feeling a little bit more triggered. We're all feeling a little bit more sensitive. What it is that we do with that trigger is the differentiating factor. Because I do want to let you know, on the shadow side of this transit, some people could be on the offense when it comes to it. This energy lands in Aries. Aries is very forthright. It's very direct. So there could be an energy around wanting to go on the offense and make other people hurt because how it is that we have hurt. It's always important when it lands in an Aries, which tends to be a very impulsive sign, that we are managing our responses. And again, allowing ourselves and that feeling to permeate into our being and observing what it is that it's trying to show you, rather than needing to go on the offense, needing to make other people hurt the way that you've been hurt, because that just perpetuates this cycle of being in need of healing. What if these wounds were being triggered for the purpose of finally releasing them once and for all? So I do want to highlight, the wound is not your fault. What caused the wound is not your fault. And again, we'll go into house by house in a moment, but that story is not your fault. But healing it is your responsibility. And how it is that you react to it is also your responsibility. And just because you have been hurt does not mean that you have permission from the cosmos to hurt others. So I do want to let you know, we can be a little bit more apt to lash out during this transit, with Jupiter expanding where it is that we have been hurt, where it is that we have felt wounded, right? There can be a huge temptation to lash out, to react with anger, to want to make people hurt the way that we have hurt, right? I feel called to share with you the story of Chiron within mythology. Within mythology, Chiron was a half centaur and a half man. And I know oftentimes we think of centaurs and we think of, well, aren't centaurs already half man, half horse? So within the traditional text of Chiron, Chiron is depicted as having 2 human legs and like a horse butt. And I don't want to get into how it happened because it's very unsettling. Look it up if you want to. And because he was a product of infidelity and because he was this like mixture of 2 things, there was this inherent feeling of not belonging. Like the centaurs were like, you're too human-like, and the humans were like, you're too centaur-like. So there's just this energy around never fitting in, right? Never belonging. And that can make someone jaded. When you are on the outside looking in, that can make you jaded. That can make you mad. That can make you angry. But that's not what happened with Chiron. Chiron became a healer, an astrologer actually, and he used that pain of what he had gone through around not feeling enough, around not feeling good enough, of not belonging. He used that to make him be this incredible teacher, this incredible guide, someone who had a lot of wisdom. He didn't allow the wound of insecurity, of not belonging, of not fitting in, consume him. And he didn't allow it to infect his spirit, right? Of course, he had great mentors. You want to dive into Chiron within its entirety, but I just want to share, it would have been easy for Chiron to be like, well, this world is evil and against me, but he didn't. He allowed that wound of feeling on the outside make him even more loving, want to be even more of a guide, be even more empathetic. And obviously it's not easy to be this beacon of love and compassion when you have been hurt. But also just understanding it doesn't do anything for your healing journey. In fact, it just keeps you within that wound if you are in that space of constantly wanting to lash out, constantly wanting to react, wanting others to hurt because you have hurt. And when it comes to this energy, I do think a lot of humanity's suffering is going to be enhanced during this time. And what it is that we do with it is our responsibility and our onus. And I think we're just seeing, even collectively, people are sort of very wounded, and it's putting a lot of people into a very, very angry state of mind. Now, huge theme with Jupiter in Aries and North Node soon entering Aries as well. Anger, there's nothing wrong with anger. This aspect obviously occurs during Pisces season, allowing every shade of emotion that this transit can bring to the surface. But observing where it is that you are lashing out, reacting, or even resorting to violence or anything of nature. That is my fear for this transit, is that some people can allow what it is that they've hurt to want to hurt others or anything of that nature as justification for it, which just perpetuates this need for healing. When it comes to Jupiter on Chiron, a big part of Chiron's story is how that wound was part of his story, or why he did feel so called to share. Because when you have hurt, you know what it feels like, and you have a particular medicine, you have a particular magic because you have gone through. It's like the energy of the way shower. And with that being said, I do feel like a lot of people who watch my channel have been into this work for a while, been doing this healing work, spiritual work, things of that nature. And it may be more important for you to step up as a leader within your community, within the causes that you're passionate about, anything of that nature. Because with Chiron, Jupiter, and some other transits that are occurring in March 2023, I do feel like a lot of people will be waking up, perhaps for the first time. And I do believe that those who have been doing this work will feel called to trailblaze and to help guide us into this next era, into this next paradigm. And so I think with Jupiter on Chiron, a lot of people will be waking up both to their inherent wounds as well as the wounds with humanity. And with the energy of Aries, it's around what are we going to do about it? How are we going to take where it is that we have suffered, and yes, the emotions, the anger that suffering can bring to the surface. I'm not saying that's wrong, but how it is that we are going to move forward and act upon that. What are the shifts that we want to create, as well as with the energy in Aries, how it is that we are leading, guiding, trailblazing a new era, right, for our children, for our future generations, for things of that nature. Because with this energy of Aries, it speaks to novelty, it speaks to newness, it speaks to a fresh new chapter, and that comes from being honest, being vulnerable, these Aries themes, right? As well as being willing to invigorate new techniques, invigorate new systems of supporting one another, right? So I just want to say, some of you will be called upon to lead this charge towards healing, towards prioritizing every aspect of our well-being during this transit. With this idea of being called upon to, lead and guide and to initiate new strategies and new ways of healing, the energy of Chiron on Jupiter is like being able to transmute where it is that we have been wounded into a source of wisdom, right? Into a source of being able to find a new meaning from it. Be able to be a lighthouse for other people who are going through their own dark night of the soul or their own healing pathway, which again, with the energy of Chiron, it can be triggering, right? And how it is that we turn it into a sense of wisdom and into a sense of meaning. Now, I want to be conscious of my language here because a lot of us are dealing with really heavy Chiron stuff, right? And when it comes to Chiron on Jupiter, it can indicate that we can almost like spin this wound into a source of wisdom and meaning and spirituality, almost like we're the Rumpelstiltskins of our life. Okay, please excuse the interruption, editing Haley here, but did you guys read the fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin? I don't know where that reference came from, like the deepest recesses of my mind. I have not read it in many years, and I remember it like this. I remember it as a tale about a elf who helps the miller's daughter by supporting her in turning straw into gold. He had magical powers where he could turn straw into gold. So that's why I made the reference around during Jupiter conjunct Chiron, you can be asked to essentially alchemize something like straw within your life into something like gold. So something that doesn't have, that much value into something that has incredible value, wisdom, knowledge, healing, all of these things. Turns out, here's what actually happened to Rumpelstiltskin, and I just blocked out all the bad parts. Okay, so Rumpelstiltskin, yes, helped her turn straw into gold, but he demanded stuff, like he asked for her ring, he asked for her firstborn child. At the end of the tale, like, she doesn't have to give up her child, but I just want to pop in to say that I am by no means saying that you should go around demanding people's firstborn child. I'm just saying find ways and opportunities that you can alchemize what is straw within your world, within your journey, and spin it into gold, something priceless, something wise. Okay, back to the video. Right, being able to weave something into gold. But with that being said, I am by no means suggesting that, the wound is easy or that it's just like a magic wand, just being able to be like, well, I learned A and B and C from that horrible experience that I went through. It sucks. Allowing yourself to feel that fully raw. Again, it's this expansive energy for the purpose of alchemizing and healing. So grant yourself first permission to feel it within its entirety. Allow yourself to feel that sacred rage and that fury around how life has treated you or around how you feel like your own authentic self is wrong or not right? Feeling all of those spectrums of emotions, but understanding and not identifying with that wound and with that hurt, knowing that you are so much more than that, and also knowing how it is that that story is weaved into your identity with the energy in Aries, how it has made you the person that you are with the unique medicine and magic that you offer, right? And oftentimes when it comes to Chiron, we don't understand how it comes into our story until much later. Oftentimes when we have a strong Chiron experience, it's almost being able to guide or to reassure or to teach or to lead others or to be able to share a bit of information like, hey, this was helpful for me when I was going through that experience. Like if you sit with somebody who has gone through something that you have gone through, there is this profound feeling around feeling genuinely heard, genuinely supported that people don't understand. It's earned wisdom is this energy. And there is this expansion around either being able to find how that pain was the pathway to a new era within your journey and a new era within your purpose, how that particular wound, that particular experience sort of puts so many pieces into place around the person that you are and the way that you are meant and destined to show up within this world. And it both asks us to embrace the parts of ourselves that we felt like we had to hide. Like, for me, I had shared, I'm very anxious, neurotic person, and I always felt like I had to hide it. And even though my own experiences have been very painful and been very challenging, they've wreaked havoc on my body, mind, and soul, it has made me a better astrologer because I know what it feels like. So I'm able to counsel and to lead and to guide with a deeper level of empathy and a deeper level of clarity. So while the Chiron story is painful, it's ouch, it's wounding, there is beauty, there is wisdom within it. Again, embracing where you are within your healing journey. You need to feel it all firstly, depending on how fresh that wound is. It's not saying you have to magically be like, I am so grateful for this painful experience because I learned A, B, and C. It's not that easy. And the energy of Aries is embrace being raw, being messy. There's never going to be a feeling where we're like, I am completely healed. but alchemizing into something else, whether it's being able to tell your story within a blog, within a podcast, within a story, work it into your work, anything of that nature, it reclaims that wound. It shapes your relationship to that story. Being able to reclaim parts of it and be like, this is who it is that I am, and it gives me the unique magic and wisdom that I carry. With the energy of Jupiter, we are being asked to walk through how it is that that wound has given us wisdom and a unique perspective on the world, as well as a unique perspective around what it is that we are here to give and to share. And I always feel that it is deeply important to mention that Chiron is a comet in between Saturn and Uranus. And this is significant because Chiron can both be something that keeps us from living, right? With its proximity to Saturn. It could be something where we bind ourselves to our safe little arena around, I put myself out there and I got hurt in this way. I have this particular wound, so I'm going to keep myself locked up. I'm not going to let people see my authenticity because that's scary. Being vulnerable is scary because then they're going to judge me. Being my authentic self is scary because they're going to judge me. Trying and failing something is scary because people are going to judge me, or people are going to see me within my authenticity, within my honesty, right? It could be something that keeps us restricted, that keeps us blocked and separated, not just from life, but from other people, right? Like I said, the Chiron energy is that amazing feeling of being able to sit with someone and be like, I get you, I am you, I've been there. That feeling of being seen, that happens when we let our guard down, right? And so Chiron is both this energy of Saturn around where it is that we feel blocked and restricted, where it is that we have experienced limitations in life, right? That can be a common Chiron story, things that have just not been fair. But Chiron can also represent how it is that we can liberate ourselves and liberate others with this proximity to Uranus. How it is that we can break out of convention and be like, especially with this Chiron and Aries story, be like, yeah, that's part of my story. Yeah, I struggle with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's made me the person that I am. How it is that we can break free from those self-imposed limitations around, I'm not good enough, the way that I am with my raw authenticity isn't good enough, society makes me feel wrong. The energy of Uranus is like, well, society's wrong because it's the person that I am and I'm going to embrace that. So it's up to you with Chiron. We can either use our Chiron story to keep us separated and removed from society and keep ourselves safe within our little box, safe within the mask of who it is that we pretend to be, or we can use that Chiron story to both liberate ourselves, embracing our authenticity with this aspect, as well as way show, guide, and illuminate the pathway for others. I feel is very important with this transit. And Jupiter expands what it touches. It can be excessive, so we're going to be feeling a lot, right? And not just current stories, like something hitting you from a year ago that you're like, ouch, ooh, I thought I healed that, but there's still a part that feels a little spiky, right? And that's okay, embracing where it is that you are within this journey. Some other manifestations that I want to lightly talk on is that I do feel like some people will be acknowledging certain of healing around the higher education system is a Jupiterian theme, around traveling is a Jupiterian theme, around morals, like feeling like my morals don't sync up with society's morals, so I feel different. There feels to be a clash. Around spirituality, people processing like religious trauma or things of that nature. I just want to kind of prep you on the full range of Jupiterian themes and allow them to come to the surface. But the promise, if we walk through this Chironian pathway, it might sting a bit. It might bring to the surface like, ooh, I thought I healed that. Ooh, I thought I've worked through that. Ooh, I thought I've like loved myself through that. It will bring to the surface those inherent spiky parts, but it promises expansion from them, freedom from them, walking through and feeling more connected to the person that you are and the way that you are meant to lead and guide humanity around how that particular wound has given you your particular magic, your particular perspective, even with its messiness, even with its rawness, even with its pain, how it has made you and carved you the person that you are. And it's just so important with this Aries energy. Embrace authenticity. It's okay to be messy. It's okay to be direct. Healing is not linear. Healing is not all pretty and put together. It's messy, it's raw, and that's what's human about it. That's what's real about it, right? This is really a cosmic call to get real with our own healing journey, as well as reflecting it and wishing it for others. So let's talk about how you can find where this transit is active within your chart and how it is bringing to the surface your own healing journey. So now that we have dove into some collective themes that we can be experiencing within this transit, let's get specific. What's coming up for you? Where are you experiencing this wounding yet wise sensation of Jupiter meeting up with Chiron? To that, we'll want to look at our birth chart. So there are two ways that you can do this. The first being, if you are newer to astrology or you utilize whole sign house system, what I want you to do is look below within the description as well as within the pinned comment and find your ascendant sign. Advance that timestamp and that is your reading. If you use Placidus house system, I do as well. It does get a little bit more complicated, but I promise to you it's worth it and I'll guide you through the entire process. So what I want you to do is look at your full circle chart. So within the visual I'm showing on screen, this is astro.com, and I want you to find the red Aries symbol. It looks like this. I'm circling it. This is the Aries portion of your chart. Now this transit lands at 14 degrees Aries. So we need to get specific on where that degree is located within your chart. So what I want you to do is I want you to find the line that separates the Aries symbol from the Pisces symbol. So the Pisces symbol looks like a blue H. Find the line in between it. Because this is the beginning of the Aries degrees, circling it here, this is 0 degrees Aries. Now, if you see these little grid marks, this signals increments of 5. So this first little grid mark, 5. This second little grid mark, that's a little bit longer, 10. This third one, 15. This transit lands at 14. So we know that wherever this 15 line is, look to the inner ring, to the piece of pizza, and you should see a little number. So within this example that I'm showing on screen, we see that this transit lands within the 4th house. Now, let's say that you're looking and you're like, it could be the 4th house, but I can't totally tell. It might potentially be the 3rd house. So what I want you to do is click on PDF additional tables. From there, look over to the right side of the screen. I want you to find the Aries symbol and notice the degrees. So we see here, I see, that's also the beginning of the 4th house, starts at 11 degrees Aries. So we know for sure, since this transit exacts at 14 degrees Aries, it for sure lands in the 4th house. If it came before 11 degrees, we know it would be in the preceding house, the 3rd house. And I do want to make a note, if you see that the symbol is not there, it means that you have intercepted houses, which means that that sign is completely swallowed up by that house. And then you know for sure which house it lands in, because then it doesn't go to any other house. Just a quick note in case it comes up. But then when you find out which house it lands in, you'll want to advance to that timestamp. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 1st house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be an Aries ascendant, or you just have 14 degrees Aries within your 1st house. Either way, this reading is for you. So some embedded wounds and insecurities could come to the surface around your identity, around the person that you are. And I would deeply advise during this time carving some space to sit down and get back to who it is that you are outside of what you felt like you've had to be for others. Like there can be certain calcified parts of you that you felt like were too raw, were too honest, were too bold. And, getting back to the parts of you that you are inherently. Maybe it's getting back to certain personality traits that you've hidden. Maybe it's getting back to your own authentic style. Maybe you felt like you've had to modify your appearance in order to feel accepted. Like again, Aries is the most raw, authentic part of ourselves, and it's still within you. I know sometimes when we're going through different seasons, we can miss prior incarnations of ourselves, but I want to let you know, if there are parts about the person that you were when you were growing up, or when you were a teenager, or when you were 20s and you miss it, I want you to know that part of you is still within you. Obviously, it's taken shape and form. You've had wisdom through learned experience from that time to now, but I want to let you know that raw authenticity, the person that you are, is still there no matter what it is that you've been walking through. And it can be comforting at this time to return to the person that you are and allow your life to be built from that central place around, this is who it is that I am, this is what I have to give and to offer towards other people, and there is power within that around getting back to who it is that I am as an individual outside of the judgment and the fears of acceptance from others. No more. And I do want to let you know, the themes of Aries do have to do with our physicality, and this is compounded by this placement within your 1st house, which has to do with our appearance appearance as well as our physical body. So with this, I do want you to be gentle with yourself. You can be being very critical of yourself as of late around your appearance, feeling like you don't look like other people, or that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, your body isn't fit enough, or what have you. And it's important to know that at this time when those insecurities are triggered around, why do I never feel pretty enough? I never feel blank enough. I never feel what have you enough, right? Allowing yourself to reclaim your body as just that, a body, a thing that moves and breathes and stretches and runs and does all these amazing things, and releasing this attachment around needing the aesthetic to show up within a certain way. Aries is very raw, it's very physical, and not so much about the aesthetics of the matter, but just getting to what it is that it does for us, appreciating our body as a vessel from getting us from place to place, and knowing that during this time there can be sort of triggered insecurities around whether it's your physical aesthetics or just your body, feeling really frustrated by what your body can do, what your health can do, what your health can't do. And again, this isn't a seamless pathway. It's not necessarily feeling like we can walk through to the other side and find it very easy to treat ourselves with love. But I do want to let you know that this particular journey that you're going through, whether you are dealing with a physical ailment of some sort or insecurity around your aesthetics, it can be something that is empowering and enlightening for other people, being able to voice and talk to other people who have struggled in a similar way, and being able to alchemize where it is that this journey within you has been turned into a source of wisdom. Now, it's not to say that you're still actively within this energy of insecurity, but there is a shift this month around beginning to see what that journey gave to you, what you learned about yourself from that journey, how that particular journey inspired you wanting to teach or guide or way show or be a voice for other people who are struggling within it. Again, the journey of a Chironian and the journey we're all in this March is around where it is that we can acknowledge our wounding and not get trapped or stuck or feel limited by it, but understand how it is that we can alchemize it into something else, into a source of wisdom and healing for other people. So it's important, if you're feeling bogged down around your physicality, you're feeling frustrated by, why doesn't my body do this? Why doesn't my body look like that, right? Understand that is something that so many of us can struggle with. And there might be a particular journey that you have been on with your body that you have something to say about, or that has given you a particular wisdom. Because I do want to let you know, with this landing in your first house, another trigger can be around visibility, right? Because when we put ourselves out there, we put ourselves out there in the pathway to be perceived by others, which can be painful. Eyeballs can feel like daggers. If you are someone who has been so critical of yourself, tearing your own body apart, it can feel uncomfortable putting yourself in a pathway to be seen. And that's also sort of the expansion that is occurring during this time, is around allowing yourself to be seen within your authenticity, within your vulnerability, like allowing yourself to be seen with all your messiness, with all your flaws, and understanding that is what makes your magic yours. It makes you more relatable. Again, it's not all about being relatable, but it is this journey around people see themselves in you, and that makes you a powerful leader. And again, when we talk about this energy, I know not all of us, work as a healer or even consider their occupation a healer. Again, this isn't about work. It's about being visible, but pulling in ways that your particular journey has made you a more compassionate, more kind, more gentle individuals is important with this. Like, I always think that healing can come through in a myriad of ways, whether you are a barista or whether you are a nurse. There's different ways of healing. Sometimes just holding eye contact with someone and just being present, because you know what it feels like to feel looked over or to not be acknowledged or not to be looked at, can be healing. And so with this transit, you may be asked to be a little bit more visible and to be authentic and raw about things that you used to hide, or maybe just hiding your own essence altogether because you felt to be perceived within my authenticity is to be judged. And I do feel like some of you have had that embedded within you for a while, because Chiron has most likely been transiting the sector for a little bit, around feeling like I would rather be hidden rather than feel like I want to be seen. It's almost like this energy of exposed nerve. Like you can feel like people are more likely to pick up on your flaws and your insecurities. So you're like, I'd rather be hidden. But think about how empowering and inspiring it can be for you to be seen within it and understand it's part of who it is that you are. The energy of Aries, it asks us to be fearless around these things that have hurt us, right? And to be fearless in the pursuit of allowing yourself to be seen and allowing your story to be told and your essence to be felt by those around you. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the second house, this reading is for for you. You may potentially be a Pisces rising, but not always. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within your second house. Either way, this reading is for you. So a lot of you have been moving through this energy of not feeling valuable. You have been moving through this season around having a hard time being able to assert your true worth. Because this is the house of self-esteem and it's the house of money. So I want to speak to both of these and then speak to them as an overarching theme. When it comes to money, especially if you are someone who is self-employed or has to ask for a raise or something, it can trigger all sorts of insecurities around what it is that we are worth and what it is that we are not worth. Being shot down for that raise, proposing a certain package and having someone tell you you're too expensive, you're not worth all that. It can trigger, well, what am I worth, right? Do I need to lower my rate, right? I know how much I put into this. I know how much I value my time. It can be very demoralizing to have this world tell you you're only worth this amount, right? But I want to let you know the number that is in your bank account does not define the person that you are. And I feel for some of you, you've been letting where it is that you are financially define who it is that you are. Whether you've been really struggling with resources, and again, it's very challenging getting on top of those things when you are struggling for resources. But I want to let you know, you are not encapsulated by your current bank account, by your current experience. Okay, it's part of your journey. And with the energy of Chiron, there can be something valuable that you are learning from this leg of your journey, but understanding this will not last forever and that it is not all that you are. And for some of you, maybe you're not struggling with finances, but maybe where you're struggling is feel like your worth is tied up into these numbers and you've been in this moritis. I'll be happy as soon as I make this amount. I'll be happy as soon as I pay this off. More. But that feeling of feeling proud of yourself or feeling like you're enough never arrives. And it never will, because your value cannot be wrapped up into the amount of money that you make or that you don't make, because money is a fickle thing. And if we are tethering our sense of value to the number in our bank account, we'll perpetually feel not enough. Because like I said, with money, people are always trying to haggle. People are always trying to get a deal, and it can internalize to you. Am I not good enough? Am I not good enough? And it's interesting because you all have Jupiter in your second house. So you are moving into a season where you are more abundant. And for some of you, I'm feeling there's strong imposter syndrome. Like money could be coming your way and it's triggering this energy around, am I worth all this? Could it possibly be worth all this? And it's almost like triggering this journey within you around, I can't be worth all this. What's happening, right? And almost feeling this energy around wanting to keep your rates low because you're struggling with understanding how it is that you could possibly provide this much value to individuals. And while there is a connection between how it is that we value ourselves and our bank account, understanding the amount of worth and value that is within your soul couldn't even be quantified, couldn't even take place within a bank account. It is so beautiful and so valuable to this planet. So with Chiron on the second house, bringing to the surface where it is you've identified with your financial status, or where it is that you have felt valuable or not valuable through money. Maybe even what's being brought to the surface is certain wounds within you around your parents saying, no, that's too expensive, we can't buy that. Or those experiences within you of feeling like money was more important in your household than spending time with you. Money is so much more than just currency. It can represent energy and love and not feeling love and not feeling nourished. It's so much bigger than what it is. And this is sort of energy to be able to divorce your own value from it. Maybe you're going through a slow season at work. Maybe you're unemployed. Maybe there's not money coming in when there used to be. And with this Chiron, it's really embracing, what does money rule within my life, right? Because obviously we need it to survive, but we don't need to tether our own sense of worth to it. You're just as valuable if you are making a ton of money than if you are making no money at all, okay? And that's part of it. I also want to highlight, some of you have been in this moritis around goods, around wanting to be seen with luxurious goods and things of that nature, and looking at what other people have and being like, why don't I live in a nice apartment like Cynthia? And with this, it's like, because we're all on different paths. That's not your path. Those aren't your desires. Like, I just feel like for some of you, you've been looking left and right, trying to keep up with the Joneses around what other people have. And it's like, did you even want a designer bag? Do you even want to live in that neighborhood? Maybe not, right? Figure out what your desires are. Get back to your own authenticity around what does success look like for you. Maybe it's not a designer bag, maybe it's just having plants, and that's what it is that you're working for, and that feels good to your soul. Embrace it, okay? And for some of you, this will only be a message for a couple, but I do feel like some of you are taking your natural healing abilities and you're beginning to earn an income from it, either like making things, providing your services. And again, some of you are healing the common trope around if it's spiritual healing work, it's bad to accept money from it. And again, allowing yourself to understand that what it is that you do and who it is that you are is valuable, and you deserve to accept money for it. Okay, so really observing where it is that you're blocking yourself from receiving out of inherent feelings of not feeling to be enough, right? Another message that'll probably only be for a couple of you, some of you need to look at your reaction around money, whether it's being really, really scarce around money, never feeling like there's enough, even though there is, feeling like you can never spend it. Some of you spend it right when it comes in. I do feel like there can be a healing journey tied into your resources. So maybe you spend it right when it comes in because you never felt like people spent money on you when you were younger. So now you want to give yourself everything that you desire because you feel like you owe it to yourself, right? Maybe you're on the other side of the spectrum where you feel like you went through this huge financial disaster and you grew up very financially unstable. And even though your finances say that you're fine, you fundamentally haven't got over that fight or flight feeling around one expense could knock it all out. So I can't spend any money on myself. Nope. I'll just microwave this 2-day-old coffee rather than brew a new pot. I can't. Some of you are being asked to really look at your healing journey and how it relates to money, as well as how it relates to self-esteem. Some of you have been in a state of perpetually doing for others, trying to prove that you are valuable enough. And part of you is just to understand point blank, you are enough just because of who it is that you are. Okay, you are valuable. If Chiron conjunct Jupiter will meet up in your third house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be an Aquarius ascendant, but not always. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within your third house. Either way, this reading is for you. So you have a story to tell. I truly believe some of you have a story within you that is here to tell. Whether it's sharing it on social media, on a podcast, on a YouTube channel, some of you are being called to be more vulnerable around how it is that you share your story and to understand the particular perspective and voice that your journey has given to you. And to be honest about where it is that you are, to let go this mask around, I'm good, I'm okay, it's all good, and to let yourself let down your guard and be like, I'm not okay and that's okay. To allow yourself to be seen within your raw vulnerability. Does anybody else have like comfort podcasters or like comfort YouTubers that you just like listen to when you're like going through it? It just brings you so much comfort. Like I feel like some of you are becoming that for other individuals within that raw energy. Like the people that I listen to, they don't act like they have it all together because that's not relatable to me. I don't see myself in them. But it's like the individuals who are like, yeah, I'm kind of a mess. I've been going through this and that. I relate to them, right? There's something within their journey that I understand. And I'm feeling for some of you, whether you already show up on social media or you've been contemplating it, I feel some of you are allowing yourself to acknowledge how what it is that you've gone through is giving you this particular perspective that some of you really are being called to share. And with the energy of Aries, unfiltered, raw, direct, being forthright. It can be just the medicine that other people need to hear. And some of you, this is a sector of the mind. So some of you, you've been very hard on yourself. And so some of you have been going through it. You can feel like your mind is trying to hurt you. You're like, what is going on? You're supposed to be a cheerleader. And with this energy of Chiron, it's like, firstly, like looking at, okay, I have a problem or I've been struggling with this again. Aries is all about honesty, being honest about where it is that you are, as well as being honest on ways that you can sort of take initiative around supporting your mind. Maybe that's journaling, maybe that's meditating, maybe that's the app Aura that I was telling you about, maybe that's therapy. Like understanding with Chiron and Jupiter, firstly letting the guard down. It is okay not to be okay. It's okay to need to give your mind a little bit more support, to be honest about where it is that you are within your journey, to be able to have a space where you can be honest and direct around, hey, I'm really going through it and this, and to be unfiltered with someone. I do feel like it would be helpful for a lot of you to be able to take your emotions and what it is you're going through and put it into words. Like you have Jupiter in third house. So like you are going through a really magnetic time when it comes to sharing more on social media, starting that podcast, really clarifying your story. And with this on Chiron, no pressure. Like some of you are like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I'm not in my healing journey where I can share what I'm going through. Film a podcast for yourself. write a book for yourself. Like, it could be something sacred, certainly. Like, the Chiron story is about how we eventually alchemize it, but it doesn't necessarily need to be for the public. Maybe it's just for yourself. When you write about a wound, your relationship to that wound changes, okay? It becomes encapsulated within that particular story. And yes, if you sit down and write a book about these painful experiences that you have, you do have to relive it. You have to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, and then what was that person? And then this happened, and this happened. You have to relive it. But as it turns into this beautiful work of art, as you are able to take all of these sore spots and these wounds and these emotions and put it into art, it becomes something different. That is alchemy. That is transmutation. So whether it's sharing it for the collective, whether it's keeping it sacred for yourself, my love, either is encouraged. And with third house, it also has to do with sales, has to do with marketing, has to do with the mind. So some of you have been feeling mentally inferior. I don't know if you feel like you can't mentally focus, or some of you feel like your learning style isn't that great, or something of that nature. I'm just feeling like there's some embedded wounding within you around my mind doesn't work like others. I don't talk like others. Maybe some of you are like shy and you're feeling weird about how it is that you communicate. With Jupiter crossing, like there is an energy around embracing that particular perspective that your learning style has given you. Understanding the particular perspective that your listening style has given you. I find oftentimes the people who feel very awkward when it comes to communication tend to be the most dialed in listeners because they know what it feels like to not feel listened to. And there's something so healing about being around someone who's genuinely holding on to everything that you say, right? In a world that just wants to talk to people who listen. So I also want to say, if you feel awkward communicating, this is sort of an aspect around allowing yourself to, yes, with the energy of Aries, be more fearless, putting yourself out there, continue to hone and chisel that muscle. Like, just because Chiron is activated doesn't mean that we need to stay identified with that role around, well, I'm just an awkward communicator. Yeah, it's part of your story, but also taking into your hands around, okay, what would support me in this way? If I do feel like it's important for me to chisel my communication, is it, learning public speaking? Is it journaling more? Is it talking with a therapist? Is it taking certain classes? Like, I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but that'll be a message for a couple people who have been called to kind of dial in their communication skills and how to make them as impactful as possible. Some of you, I don't know if you're a business owner or something of nature, or if you just work in digital marketing or something of that nature, but some of you with this in the third house are really having to get comfortable around marketing yourself, putting yourself out there. If you're a business owner, it can feel awkward sometimes being like, hey, buy my stuff. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, but no one's going to buy it if you don't. So some of you are being asked to be fearless with the energy of Aries, put your stuff out there, start experimenting on TikTok, put stuff on Instagram. Fall in love with the process of trying stuff. Like, again, with the energy of Chiron, with it by Saturn, it can keep us bound. We could be like, I don't want to put myself out on Instagram. That's embarrassing. What if people see it and they think I'm weird or annoying because I've been sending these emails? What if those emails would change your bank account? People will not buy from you unless they know, unless they know about you and your services and your products and whatever it is that you are about. So some of you, I'm just really feeling you need to get comfortable with just trying stuff. You cannot allow that fear of being seen and being perceived keep you from trying new platforms, trying new ways to reach people. Fall in love with the process of trying, right? We can feel this energy around, well, I'm wrong because no one's buying my stuff. Or like, what if I write this book and then nobody reads it? Again, what's worse? What's worse? You have to understand the fear levels. Like, are you more scared about writing a book that no one reads? Or are you more scared about living a life and realizing at the end of your life, wow, I never wrote that book? What's more fearful to you? To me, the latter, a life not lived, is the scariest thing of all. So really dialing in, reclaim your story, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for your art, whether it's for your mind. I want you to dial into journaling. I want you to dial into writing, film a podcast just for yourself, maybe start more in social media. I want you to begin to take your healing journey and put it into words. It promises to be very potent during this time. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron meets up in your fourth house, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Capricorn ascendant, but not always. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within your fourth house. Either way, this reading is for you. So this is a deep one, and I would advise, knowing that this is a more impactful transit for you, really wrapping yourself up with a lot of love and a lot of care as you navigate the astrology of March 2023 and April 2023, because when transits land angular houses like this one is, they are more impactful, and with this one, they can be more triggering. This is sort of this building energy around getting comfortable with the wide spectrum of your emotions, even the ones that aren't pretty. I do feel that some of you do have a tendency to work away the emotions or not deal with things or to feel flawed because of your own sensitivity. And this is sort of an energy of freeing yourself from where it is that you've kept yourself stuck through this lens around just gotta hide it, just gotta pretend like it's all good or what have you. And so some of you are doing some work around freeing yourself from understanding that it is okay to feel and to feel the wide spectrum of emotion, to feel things all over the map, ups, downs, highs, lows. It's part of the human experience. And part of you is about decalcifying this energy around pretending like you need to have it all together. Or even, I just feel like a lot of you have a tendency to like run from your emotions or busy yourself within emotions or block off your emotions. And this just asks for deep rest, deep feeling into what's coming to the surface. Again, not feeling bound by the hurt, but understanding that for you to be integrated whole individual, it means embracing all of what it is that you are, every facet of who it is that you are. And this is the sector that governs not only our family, but our roots. And so some of you, there's going to be this sort of like triggering or this little wounding around what our family was, what our family wasn't, around certain patterns that played out within our lineage, right? Within our ancestry. And with this energy of Chiron, there's this energy around, ouch, around where it is that you come from. Because out of all the things in life that we can't change, we cannot change where it is that we come from. But where it is that you come from does not define who it is that you are. And while what has happened in the environment that you were raised and the patterns that are in your family is not your fault, healing is your responsibility. Again, this energy of Aries asks for empowerment around understanding this was not my fault. These patterns, these tendencies that are within me, it's not my fault. I inherited these particular patterns, but it is my responsibility to stop the cycle here. So embrace, as painful as it can be, what comes to the surface around contemplating your ancestry, your lineage, and contemplating all who came before you and the amazing things that were given for some and the not so amazing things that were given for many others. Like the energy of Chiron is about pain. So some of you can be processing loss and fear and grief and deep patterns of betrayal or anything of that nature. It can be heavy. Fourth house is intense. And I think a fourth house is like the roots of the tree of the whole chart. It really allows us to draw in the nutrients of how it is that we show up within the public eye. So I do feel for some of you, you are taking this time to kind of dial into your sacred space, to dial into, okay, where is it that I come from and how can I reclaim or free myself from these patterns that no longer serve me? Some of you can find this time is marked with certain healing, empowering conversations with family members where you're able to reframe and understand, okay, this individual, was a human, they make mistakes. Like again, as we grant our own healing pathway, we need to grant other people to be just as we are, messy and raw. Again, it varies. Some of you, it's moving through something a little bit more dark where it's like not forgivable. For some of you, it's just being able to like look at your parents or other individuals and say, okay, they're human, they're messy, I'm messy, and being able to find some clarity or some wisdom. Some of you, I do feel like experience that you felt in childhood, you're pulling with you into your life's work in some way. Don't rush the process. Like I said, this is roots under the tree. It doesn't have to do with career or anything, but it does feel like this particular experience of the way that you grow up, this experience of constantly moving all the time can kind of factor in to some element of how it is that you show up within your life's work. So really taking a moment to bring that to the surface. Some of you are doing some healing work around your home. So maybe you're setting up a like little healing corner where you can meditate, connect on aura, or something of that nature, like a space where you just feel safe. It just makes you feel like you have that sanctuary. Some of you are in an environment where you do not feel safe to be yourself. Like with the energy of Aries in fourth house, I deeply recommend, if possible, if financially sustainable, please work towards living in your own environment with the energy of Aries. Like having Aries in your fourth house indicates that when you come home, you want to feel safe. You want to be able to take the mask down and be your own person. With Chiron, either it's being able to move towards a new healing era within your home, so moving in with roommates that you feel safe around, or moving in by yourself, or establishing a home that's safer on your nervous system, right? There's not so many noises, not so taxing, or something of that nature. I'm mentioning that just because right now it's so noisy and I'm like, I wish I lived somewhere quieter. Things like that, noises or being around people who kind of have bad energy, it can be very taxing. Like this is roots of a tree. And if we're not being able to draw the nutrients that we need from our home environment in order to thrive within the external world, right, will constantly feel depleted. So this asks you to look at your immediate environment and really look at, am I getting what it is that I need from my home environment? And what shifts do I need to make in order to feel that this space is more nurturing, more nourishing for all that I am and all that I feel? If Jupiter conjunct Chiron 2023 lands within the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Sagittarius rising, but not always. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within your 5th house. Either way, this reading is for you. So the pathway that you're walking through is around how it is that you can alchemize your wounding into something that is creative, because that is alchemy within itself. Like, to truly take something that wounded you and turn it into art. So some of you, I feel, are creative. Like, you are able to take experiences that happened to you around, ooh, that really sucked. Like, that was a really painful relationship, or that was a really painful season of my life, but you're able to turn it into a beautiful poem or a beautiful work of art, a beautiful song, where obviously it still hurts, but your relationship to it feels different. And I want to let you know, with this energy in Aries, allow it to be bold and raw. The way that you are meant to create is meant to be unfiltered. It is meant to be deeply expressive. Like, think about the energy of fire. My candle actually, funnily enough, went out. Usually I have a candle right next to me, but if you think about the element, I think I have a lighter right here. Let's see if I can relight it. If you think about the element of fire, it's raw, it's direct, it's warm. For some, it can be too hot. For some, the flame can be too forbearing. I believe this candle is dead, which is why it went out. I mean, it's lighting a little bit. I went ahead and grabbed a different candle because we can't talk about this fiery influence without a fire next to me. But if you think about the element of a fire, you know, it's not for everybody, and you are not for everybody. Your self-expression is not for everybody. Some will find the fire too hot. Some will find the flame too tall. Some will find it too crackly for their taste, right? And that's okay. You're just not for them, right? Allowing yourself to show up raw. There can be, I feel for some of you, there are certain fears around showing up. What if this person reads it? What if that person I went on a date with and who really, really traumatized me, what if they read it? What if, you know, my aunt, who the story is about, reads it and judges me? Again, being mindful, because I think there are certain laws about stuff like that, writing about people and things of that nature. But understanding your story is your story, okay? You have the right to tell your own story in the art forms that work for you. And again, some people will find, well, it's so garish, it's so raw, it's so direct. It's not for them. You know how healing it is to absorb a piece of art of someone who gets it, who has been through it? There is nothing more medicinal for the soul space. And whether this is a month of you really consuming a lot of art or a lot of media that has to do with what it is that you've gone through, or creating it, there is nothing more soulfully supported than being able to create and consume art that relates to what it is that you've gone through. And creating art can be healing for your own journey, as well as for the recipient to receive it and to feel genuinely heard and understood. Some of you are doing work around reclaiming your inner child. With Chiron in 5th house, some of you are like revisiting or thinking about your childhood and being like, I didn't really ever feel that energy around feeling carefree. I never really felt light and like I had no responsibilities. I had to grow up too soon, right? And some of you are reclaiming that. Some of you are reclaiming hobbies outside of what is productive, what is efficient. Some of you are granting space to have fun. Deep belly laughter can be healing. I want you to find excuses to laugh in March. I want you to find excuses to feel good in March. Like, some of you are doing inner child working, but you're also sort of redefining and getting back to the raw expressions of just being a human, having fun, right? That can be healing. Healing doesn't have to be us sitting in a room, shaking back and forth, like praying and meditating. I mean, it can look like that, but it can also look like giving ourselves an afternoon to play and to have fun and to create and to connect with our inner child. Healing can be chatting with a friend and laughing about that experience that was painful a couple years ago, but now you're able to alchemize it into healing, into humor. Healing can be writing a poem and reading at open mic night and just feeling so vindicated about that experience and all that you've learned from it. Because now, when you think about that experience, you just think about the poem that you wrote and not the trauma that you endured, right? And now I do want to mention, some of you who have children, there can be certain healing that you are doing through their eyes. Like, through the process of having children, you could have been reflected certain wounds of yourself and about your upbringing that are being sort of mirrored to you. And some of you are healing your thoughts around kids. Like some of you, maybe you felt like you had to have kids societally, and this is almost the energy around reclaiming, hey, my desires, it's not important for my life, and that's okay. Maybe it's opposite. Maybe you didn't want kids, and this is sort of energy around healing the part of you that didn't want kids because of your own upbringing, realizing, actually, I do. You know, I'm not going to let my life be defined by what happened with me. I'm going to reset this. Some of you have been trying to conceive, and it could have been a very painful journey. And just with Chiron, there is healing taking place as it relates to children, as it relates to, you know, your womb space, as it relates to having children, fertility, all of the things. And just with the energy in Aries, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and honest about where it is that you are at, allowing yourself to be forthright about your desires, whether you want to have children or not, and allowing yourself to reclaim having fun, whether it's having fun with your own children, having fun with your inner child, having fun within your life. Healing doesn't need to be deep and dark all of the time. It can be light, it can be expansive, it can be freeing, and that can be the most healing of all. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, you may be a Scorpio ascendant, but not always, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 14 degrees Aries. So this is essentially a call to heal your health. For some of you, you've been struggling with your diet or your exercise routine. Like some of you might have noticed certain nutritional sensitivities, and this is sort of a illumination. Again, Jupiter kind of expands it. You know, you might have noticed that every time you eat dairy, this happens, but this is sort of energy around, okay, what used to be a whisper is now screaming. So let me take this into my own hands. Again, the energy of Aries does ask for empowering ourselves, taking action. Let me take this in my hands and get a diagnostic run. I know some of you are moving through some fear around dentists, doctors, things of the nature. Again, that can be very traumatic. It could be traumatic to feel like your voice isn't listened to, your needs aren't listened to, and some of you might be walking through needing medical assistance, but being fearful of it in a certain regard. Some of you might have this fear just because you don't want to know, and I would deeply advise the more that you can gain awareness around what is happening with your body, the better, okay? The longer that you wait, the more things can fester. And again, I don't say that to trigger any fear. Nothing scary. I just think that a lot of you are conquering this fear around going and seeking these answers as it relates to your physical body. Some of you are just prioritizing every aspect of your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Truly, you are taking it into your own hands. You're getting your routine dialed in. You are allowing yourself to, wake up a little earlier to do your meditations because you know how impactful that is. You are moving your body because you've realized how helpful that is for your mentee. Literally, you are eating the foods that nurture you. You are cycle syncing. You are taking these things into your own hands. You are taking your healing and your health into your own hands. I do feel like some of you might have felt jaded by the medical system or something in nature, and some of you are empowering yourself to find information or to have more autonomy over your own journey. Something of that nature can be happening within your chart. Some of you are moving through some healing stories as it relates to your work. So some of you relate who it is that you are with what it is that you do within work. So some of you are sort of having to divorce your sense of who it is that you are with what it is that you do. Because that's all well and good when things are going great, feeling great about yourself, but if things aren't going great, you get bad feedback, there could be an energy where you're noticing how deeply that affects you and how much that affects your confidence, and being able to remove yourself around exerting more boundaries, prioritizing other areas of your life outside of work. Some of you are really being triggered as it relates to coworkers, things of that nature. Some of you can just be moving through a healing journey around work in general, just feeling disillusioned with the working world, unsure of your next steps, right? I do feel like some of you are meant to work in a healing profession or are walking through a journey that you will eventually pull into your work in some way. So again, with the energy of Chiron, it's not all light and fluffy, but I do want you to notice where is it that you are becoming a knowledgeable person because of what it is that you are walking through, right? Where is it that you can weigh, show, and illuminate other individuals who might struggle in a similar way that you are? Some of you can find you're supporting your healing by getting a small animal. random, but that'll be a message for like one person out there, like understanding how healing, having pets or taking care of plants can be energy. Incorporating that into your daily routine can be quite helpful, as well as just prioritizing feeling good every single day, prioritizing taking healing into your own hands, working it into your day-to-day, and allowing yourself to get more physical with your day-to-day, especially with the energy of Aries. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Libra rising, but not always. So make sure to listen to the reading of wherever you have 14 degrees Aries. So for you, you are walking through some energy of really healing any sort of trust issues and allowing yourself to let your guard down within relationships. Whether you are in a relationship or you are single, some of you might get reminded of a past experience. And it might kind of trigger your fight or flight. Like there could be energy, whether you see this person, hear from this person, or just reminded by this person, hear a song of this person. There can be energy around, ooh, can't let my guard down, gotta be safe. It's not safe to trust. Remember that experience? Remember when we let that person trust and we got so hurt? There could be sort of this guard going up this month where you're like, not safe, not safe, not safe. There can be an energy with this Chiron going through 7th house where you were reminded of certain ways that you were let down within relationships. There can be energy this month around needing to process past relationships because again, there's scar tissue. We can move through something and be pretty much healed and still get a little tinge of sadness or of anger when we hear a certain nickname that that person used to call us or see something on TV that the two of you used to watch, and allowing that space for healing, right? Allowing that space to reclaim that relationship and to find actually wisdom around what it taught you, right? And when it comes to if you are single during this time, there can be this energy around really healing your type. Like maybe you were drawn to individuals before who sort of triggered your fight or flight, who made you feel fundamentally unsafe, and it's almost this energy around understanding the type you're typically drawn to and sort of like recoding within your spirit who it is that you choosing to partner with now. Some of you can be healing from past experiences, or maybe even healing from feeling like your worth is identified into being in a partner or not being in a partner. Like some of you are doing some work around being intentionally single, perhaps for the first time. Some of you are single for the first time. That could feel very uncomfortable. It's like walking through way more territory, especially if you've identified with your relationships and being able to get comfortable being on your own, right? If you are in a relationship, you could be in a major healing journey with your partner. You know, when it comes to relationships, sometimes that relationship can be a stage where we play out all of our wounds, all of our insecurities, all of our experiences of feeling inadequate, feeling not good enough, right? And it's important, like I said in the beginning, that we don't allow where it is that we've been wounded to make us lash out or to be rude. Like again, like lovingly providing that container, but also not using where it is that we've been hurt in the past to justify lashing out or being rude to one another, right? Like that just continues and perpetuates a cycle of hurt. The energy of Chiron is to bring it to the surface, to alchemize it, to transform it to something else, into more love, into more compassion for the other people's perspective. Some of you, whether it's a business partner, there's just this energy you're moving through around not feeling safe, like feel like you constantly need to be on guard. Whether a business partner or a friend did you dirty, there's just an energy where you just feel like it is not safe to trust others and you're almost in fight or flight. And with Chiron, it's almost like recoding into you around people are not scary. I don't need to just block people as soon as I'm threatened or feel like they're going to hurt me, right? Like people are messy and human. They're going through their own experiences, and I don't need to be so quick to block people or to shut people off at the first tinge. Like obviously honor the red flags for sure, enact boundaries, but I just feel like some of you are almost keeping your heart guarded or keeping people way at bay because there's so much scar tissue. You're so fearful around letting people in. Sometimes choosing to be soft and loving in a world that wants you to be hard can be the most fearless thing of all. And that's really your journey with this transit. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron connects in your 8th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Virgo rising, potentially not. Maybe you just have 14 degrees Aries within your 8th house. Either way, this reading is for you. So you all are moving through some major trust issues, for real, for real, for real. And this could show up within your intimate connections. This can show up within your connection connection to the divine. This can show up within your connection to your own grief. There is this energy with Chiron transiting your 8th house where you feel like it is not safe to trust anything or anyone. There could be an energy where you feel like certain people have been taken from you too soon. So you're like, I don't even want to get close to anybody because I don't want to experience that again, right? That loss of control. And it's funny because a lot of you guys are Virgo risings where you deeply value control. This is almost the energy where you're realizing how few things in life we truly have control over, and it's making you feel almost a little bit jaded about life. And being like, does the universe even really care about me if they're willing to put me through so much pain and so much loss and so much grief? And there's no easy, answer for this and what it is that you're walking through. But what I will say is that observe within your intimate connections, because it is largely postulated that with 8th house, it does govern intimacy. And so with this, you can be processing past, intimacy trauma of some sort that's kind of coming to the surface, that's showing its ugly, it's rearing its ugly head within your current relationship. Even that's not where it occurred, there's still debris, there's scar tissue, right, to a physical level. Because when it comes to 8th house, it's how it is that we merge souls. And there can be parts of you that feel calcified, that feel separated because of that wound, because of that scar tissue. And maybe for some of you, you're even lashing out because of it, right? Even though it wasn't their fault, it's almost like those same kind of wounds get triggered and you just want someone to blame or someone to kind of throw this energy towards. And some of you, you aren't feeling like it's safe to trust or to really allow yourself to be held and to be supported, whether it's by the universe or by intimate partners. So some of you have been picking fights or something of that nature because you just don't feel supported and safe. So it's just easier to kind of trigger someone into lashing out. So you could be like, oh, they're just like everybody else. They're going to let me down. So observe where these self-sabotaging behaviors are coming to the surface when it comes to you within connections. Because I say connections, intimate connections, as well as like business partner connections. With Chiron in the 8th house, if you've been receiving support from other individuals, it can be triggering certain insecurities within you around you are not enough. Maybe you're not, earning as much money, so you're dependent upon programs or your spouse supporting you. And with Chiron, it could be bringing to the surface around, ooh, I don't feel valuable because I'm not bringing all to the table what you are bringing to the table. This is sort of an energy around allowing yourself to feel held and supported by something bigger, whether it is this connection, your business partner, the universe. This is all about how it is that we are open to receive from unexpected sources. And I will say, with this connecting, when you are honest and vulnerable about your healing journey, random streams of support could be offered to you, whether it is mental, emotional, spiritual, really for financial streams of support could be raining upon you, but it takes you being willing to let your guard down and being like, hey, I need help with this, right? And rather than being on the offense around, I'm mad at the universe, I'm mad at you, like allowing yourself to be soft and to allow support in, allow other people to help within your journey, allow yourself to move through this transformation. Because I do feel some of you are very scared of change. You are scared, and some of you are like jaded around how fast things have changed, around how things are transforming. So you have this tendency to cling. And with Chiron, you're feeling a lot of wounding around what has changed, what has transformed. And with this, it just reminds us the pace of life just goes in one direction. That is forward, right? We can either let go or be dragged, right? And with this, it's just kind of a reminder, because I know some of you are moving through some heavy grief, whether it's grieving a person, grieving prior versions of yourself. That's heavy. Process it. But also understand that with this alchemizing energy, you are moving into a new era. You are moving into a new self, and you are taking this wisdom and these stories and these experiences with you into it. So embracing this flow of the universe and feeling held and supported as you do so. You do have support around you, even though I do feel some of you are in this almost hyper-independent state where being like, it's not safe to trust people. Like again, Jupiter is gain. So you can gain a lot during this time when you allow other people to help you, but it's about decalcifying those experiences where you let people in and they let you down. Again, you don't need to live within that pain and within that betrayal forever. Like with this energy, you can find that people show up for you in brand new ways. The universe shows up for you in brand new ways that does make you feel supported. You are not in this alone. And also random, this has to do with our spouse's support. And I do want to let you know, some of you are healing, whether it's like financial infidelity or infidelity. Some of you are doing some work around healing these certain wounds that have impacted the relationship itself, whether whether it's your resources or just your merged connection, your merged intimacy as a result. And, you know, it's not to say that you need to forgive this person. It's not saying you need to move forward with this person, but there's this Chiron energy around really allowing yourself to feel the pain and allowing yourself to move forward in whichever decision that you choose. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. Some of you may be a Leo ascendant, some of you may not be. You just have 14 degrees Aries located within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart. Either way, this reading is for you. So some of you are moving through this wounding around religion. Some of you, I'll be forthright, are processing religious trauma. Like maybe you grew up in an environment where you were told what to think, what to do, and some of you are processing how deeply that impacted your worldview, right? How it made you feel wrong. Like, important to note with Jupiter, it's our morals. So with Jupiter on Chiron, there can be certain morals that you have that you feel bad about having because it was shoved down your throat that you were a bad person for having these desires or seeing the world in this particular way. So some of you are decalcifying those wounds and those stories. Some of you random, but I feel that some of you have been sold on the whole higher education thing. Like you were told, go to college, get a job, student loans. And like with this energy of Chiron, it's sort of paving this pathway towards healing around understanding it is not your fault that this predatory system had you take out loans when you were 18 years old, like having this energy of forgiveness around that decision that you made. And when we forgive ourselves, we create that pathway towards healing. So that'll only be a message for a couple people, but I do feel like that could be coming to the surface with this energy. And also with 9th house, the bigger overarching theme that I feel is that a lot of you are really doing some deep spiritual healing work, and you are pulling it in to be some sort of spiritual healer. So some of you really, this really is calling upon, again, where it is that you are with your journey. Some of you could be just starting this journey. Some of you could be so far along that you're ready to share. You're ready to write a book. You're ready to publish something. You're ready to lead. You're ready to teach. But some of you are kind of moving through this crisis of spirit energy where you're really moving through what it is that you believe in and allowing that to be a tether for you as you move through this uncharted territory. Because I cannot overstate how impactful the astrology of March 2023 is. I mean, it literally changes everything. No joke. And, you know, I just feel like for some of you, your spirituality, your religion, your connection to source energy has been a lifeline for getting you through. And I feel at some point in time, you're going to teach the skills and the modalities that you have used to get you through this dark night of the soul for others, right? Depending on where you are in the journey. Some of you are just getting into it and really devoting yourself deeper as it relates to spirituality and really allowing it to heal you. And some of you might be finding how it is that your healing journey, how it is that you are turning it into a source of wisdom for yourself, for the collective. Some of you are going on some sort of trip, whether you're going in March or you're planning for later in the year. There is this healing trip that you are calling in that is going to allow you to feel much more connected to the big picture. And it's like purely for the purpose of healing. I don't know if it's solo, I don't know if it's a retreat, but it's something where you are diving into where it is that you are ready to heal, and you are going into this trip with that intention around healing, with this energy around feeling connected to the bigger picture. Some of you are mad at God. Some of you are mad at God or like mad at the universe. And some of you are rectifying those feelings around feeling mad at God, around what has happened. Being like, why would I believe in God or universe when it's done me so dirty? And like some of you might feel guilty about those feelings that you have, about that anger that you feel. And firstly, embracing it all. Be mad if you want to. That's totally fine. But it is asking with this Chiron, how is it that you can alchemize that rage and even this experience into gold, whether for yourself or for the collective? How can you turn what is you're walking through into a source of wisdom? How can you prioritize your own healing, mental, emotional, and especially spiritual with where it's landing in your house daily, right? How can you allow your spiritual journey to get you back to your own essence, to your own pure, raw expression? If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Cancer ascendant, but you may not be. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within your 10th house. Either way, this reading is for you. Some of you are processing this energy around having to rectify what you feel is a missed opportunity or missed potential. Now, some of you, it's being projected on you by others. So there's this energy around your parents wanted you to be a doctor and they're putting a lot of pressure on you, even though you're building what is your dream. Some of you things didn't pan out for your career as you thought you would, and you're experiencing a lot of guilt and shame around where it is that you are career-wise and feeling like you should be further than you are. Some of you are experiencing a lot of sort of triggering within the workplace, whether it's sort of identifying I am what it is that I'm known for. I am my career. So if it's going great, feeling great about myself. If it's not going great, not feeling that great about myself. Some of you know what you want in career-wise, but you're scared about going after it. And this is a transit where it's like feeling that fear and doing it anyway, because you have Aries in your 10th house, so you have fearless codes within you. And if there is something that you want to do, but you are scared, like this is sort of a transit where it's allowing yourself to reclaim and know that you are a trailblazer, know that you are here to do something new and to do something innovative, right? Or to do something that is raw or about advocacy, or perhaps even pulls in your healing journey with Chiron there. With this energy, it's allowing yourself to get back to your own desires outside of projections from others, outside of what society has made you feel like you want to do. Get back to your own raw desires and do not feel guilty for them. Some of you, I feel like you went a different path, like maybe you trailblazed, like your entire family went this way and you created this new path, right? And this is sort of energy around believing your ability to make things happen for yourself. The universe is on your side. You have Jupiter at the top, but you are being asked to walk through certain inherent triggers that's bringing to the surface. Maybe being visible within your profession, within your career, within your business is triggering certain wounds within you around feeling like people are hyper-focusing on your flaws, feeling like it's not safe to be seen, feeling like you need to be perfect in order to show up. Again, when it comes to success in career, we tend to think, as soon as this happens, then I'll be happy. But it just amplifies the work doesn't stop. It just gets deeper and meets us at different places. Like wherever we go, there we are. So if we're not taking time to prioritize our healing now at, our part-time job, we won't prioritize it when we're at our dream job either, right? So it is asking for you to understand that more success, more ambition, more titles, more promotions, it won't give you the sensation of vitality and confidence that you are looking for. Only you can give that to yourself. And with Chiron, it's asking you to stop running, like face yourself and stop looking for achievement and success to distract you from where it is that you need healing. It's not to say you need to sit in your house and just meditate all day and not go after career success, because again, you have Jupiter there. I do feel for some of you, your career is sort of mirroring to you where it is that you are in need of healing. So for example, maybe you just got a promotion and you're having to face your imposter syndrome. Maybe you start a business and you have to kind of build your confidence from the ground up. You're feeling insecure. You're not sure if you can do this, but the energy of Aries is asking for you to be fearless and to be fearless within your authenticity, within your vulnerability. I feel for some of you, you are pulling in very vulnerable parts of your story, very vulnerable parts of your personality into something public. Embrace the fear. You are meant to show up in a very raw, direct, authentic way with Aries in the 10th house, and allowing yourself to take risks at this time. Again, maybe that's what's triggering the insecurity within you around, what if I start this business and no one buys anything? What if I go for this career change and it doesn't work out? What's more scary to you? You have to figure out what's more scary to you. Trying and failing, or living a life without ever having tried it at all. You have to decide what is the calculated risk for you, okay? And what would you rather live with? Would you rather live with the guilt for having never, or the shame for having tried and landed flat on your face? You have to decide. And I also, this will probably only be a story for a couple people, but some of you have had a very painful experience that you are feeling called to advocate for now. So I don't know if it's like, you grew up in foster homes and it was very, very challenging for you, and you are feeling called, like, while that's not an experience that you want to repeat, you are pulling that into your nonprofit that you are building, where you want to reach out to fellow foster kid youth, because you have a personal attachment. Again, with the energy of Chiron, it's that personal, ouch, ooh, that was a painful experience, but because that was so painful, I want to do all that I can to advocate so that other people don't have to experience it in the way that I did. Not saying all of you need to go work with foster kids, but essentially think about where your story has landed and where it is that you are feeling called to advocate for others, because that is the energy of Aries. It's around standing up for individuals who are disenfranchised or who could have suffered in the ways that you have within your journey. If Jupiter conjunct Chiron lands within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Gemini rising, or you potentially may not be. You just have 14 degrees Aries within your 11th house. Either way, this reading is for you. So you are dealing with this triggering yet healing sensation as it relates to your hopes and dreams for the future, and your friendships. So I'll mention a couple different ways that this is coming to the surface. Some of you are having to rectify what you thought your future was going to look like and what it looks like now, and dealing with this embedded feeling of shame around unrealized dreams and ways that you thought life would be and the reality isn't showing up. And I just want to highlight with this energy in Aries, like real life is better. It's raw, it's real, it's direct. Like I know our fantasies can be all dreamy, but the raw experience of life can be the most exciting, empowering thing of all. So with this, and I know it's not always easy when you're like, well, I really want to be a baker and my life isn't quite that, but there is energy around embracing the rawness of our life and how our life turned out, and allowing ourselves to release this notion of what we thought the future should look like, right? And embracing the divine, messy, raw now. And when it comes to 11th house, when it comes to friendships as well, some of you are processing a friendship breakup that was traumatic, that's putting you in fight or flight. Some of you are keeping people at arm's length because you're like, I do not want to go through that again, so I'm not letting people in, right? That was so deeply painful for me that it is not safe for me to allow people in. It is not safe for me to open myself up to a new friendship. And this is sort of energy around allowing yourself to soften, allow your heart to soften. And so for some of you, you're processing, you're healing, and it depends on where you are in your healing journey. Some of you are ready to open yourself up. Like, it's not saying everybody needs to come into your heart and soul, but maybe you learn some wisdom from that around, ooh, I learned not to do A, B, and C within friendship. Or, ooh, I learned this piece of wisdom that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. Like, there can be something valuable that was embedded within that friendship breakup, as challenging as it was. Some of you are sort of healing, allowing yourself to be genuinely seen within your friendships. I don't know if some of you feel like you have to put on a mask in order to be loved or in order to have acceptance. Like, this is sort of energy around allowing yourself to be seen within your authenticity, around the person that you are, and to feel loved by your community for the person that you are. Some of you are rectifying certain wounds around not feeling like you have your people, not feeling like you have your community, not feeling truly seen. And this is sort of energy around processing, the loneliness that can be coming to the surface, but also understanding you have Jupiter here. So you are moving into a season where you are more open and expansive to friendships. And yes, it might take some action. The energy is in Aries, which is about going after what it is that we want, but both allowing yourself to really feel the pangs of loneliness of where it is that you are now, and processing, I thought I would have a friendship group like this. And understanding and allowing yourself to maybe be drawn to individuals who are maybe struggling in a similar way, whether it's literally loneliness about friendships, but maybe just other individuals who are healing in a similar way than you are. Let's say you're moving through grief, finding grief groups. You are moving through addiction, finding addiction groups. Finding like-minded souls who can get you where it is that you are with your healing journey can be so impactful during this time, and something that I would deeply encourage, particularly if you are feeling lonely. Find individuals who are like-minded in regards to what it is that you are healing through, whether it's like spiritual groups or anything of the nature. Depending on what you are walking through, you can find it's very powerful to be surrounded by people who are like-minded. And I do want to say, part of your healing journey is going to be interwoven into how it is that you feel called to show up for the collective. Like, I always chat with my clients and I'm like, when they're confused about their Chiron, I'm like, okay, love, just sit down and think about what is your deepest wound? What angers you the most, right? What triggers your insecurities the most? And with Chiron in the 11th house has to do with humanitarian efforts and things of that nature. So some of you, perhaps walking by trash triggers you. You feel so mad. Maybe you had a certain experience in your upbringing that makes you so mad. No one should have an upbringing like me. There should be no children who goes through that. There should be no trash on the street. Think about what triggers you, because not everybody walks by trash and gets that mad. They'll be like, ugh, gross, but not everybody gets so mad. Not everybody watches that video on environment and gets so heated, right? Like, when it comes to Chiron, especially Chiron and Aries, our anger could be trying to tell us something around the future that we want to build, and allowing that pain around where it is that we experience, around where humanity is suffering, to be the pathway around where it is that we feel called to guide, to lead, to way show for other people who are empowered and inspired to create a more promising future for tomorrow. If Chiron conjunct Jupiter lands within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Taurus ascendant. You may potentially not be. You may just have 14 degrees Aries within the 12th house. Either way, this reading is for you. You guys are doing some deep work here within the 12th house, okay? And I promise it's nothing to be fearful of. But I do want to let you know, embrace solitude during this time. You could be finding that you're craving more time alone. And again, you guys are moving through a very powerful period because by the end of the year, most likely, depending on where your rising starts, but a lot of you will have Jupiter cross over your ascendant in the year 2023, which is the time when you're going to crave being more visible, putting yourself out there. And a lot of you are being asked to contract before you expand. You're being asked to prioritize your own healing, your own inner landscape, so that you really have the space to expand into this new life energy that typically Jupiter crossing the ascendant brings. And with that, fear not the solitude. Some of you might be like me in that whenever you're alone, you need something playing or you need distraction. And some of you are being guided to kind of just sit with yourself, sit with your healing journey. Some of you don't like being alone because then you have to face yourself. And some of you are being asked to allow yourself to carve some space, to tune into your soul, to tune into solitude. Some of you, maybe you have a wound around solitude. It's like every time you're alone, you wish you were with people. Every time you're with people, you wish you were alone. Maybe some of you feel quite lonely. And part of this is around understanding that, you are the captain of your soul. You are the master of your fate. And at the end of the day, we are born in this vessel. We die as this vessel. We are ultimately on our own in this lifetime. And you need to be your own biggest cheerleader within that pursuit. If you can't be alone with yourself, it's going to be more and more challenging to navigate this reality. So it is asking for you to carve some healing space for yourself. Some of you can find tuning into spirit can be quite healing during this time, as well as attuning to your own subconscious processing. How is it that you talk to yourself, particularly when it comes to trying new things? Do you say, oh, don't do that. Stick to what you're good at. It's embarrassing to try something and not do well. Like, pay attention to how it is that you talk to yourself, right? And how it is when it comes to like social situations. If you're in environments and you're like, oh, you're so weird, just why can't you be normal? Like, how it is that you filter and alter yourself in order to feel accepted by others. Like, tune into your underlying script of how it is that you talk to yourself within those experiences. Some of you can be having a lot of healing coming through within dreams. You could be having really intense dreams, getting lots of messages from source. Some of you are experiencing this healing around trusting your intuition. Like, I feel for some of you, you haven't trusted it. Either you're a very logical, practical person and you don't often trust it, like the voice of other people feels more real to you, so you discount what it is that you hear. And some of you, it's like you don't trust yourself in general. Like, that comes from a deep subconscious place around you don't trust yourself. And I just want to let you know, your intuition is the most accurate voice that you have, but it's quiet, which is why you are so guided during this time to take soulful space on your own in order to tune in. And it's a hidden house. So some of you, when it comes to your healing journey, it's not quite visible. You're not quite sure why it is that you're lashing out, or why it is that your mental health is struggling, or why it is, like what it is within you. And so I would just say, lovingly and compassionately, take time to tune in around where these wounds are being brought to the surface, around where it is that you're feeling called to investigate, where it is that you have been hurt, where it is that you have learned to not trust yourself, where it is that you have feared being alone, and really allowing yourself to trust yourself and cheerlead yourself truly from the inside out. And some of you could find it's quite healing to connect with your guides, to connect with your ancestors, to divinate from cards. New abilities could be activated. Some of you might be called to want to support the collective with readings, with your spiritual gifts. Again, with the energy of Chiron, it can be something that pulled you out of a hard time around learning these skills, tapping in this way, so you feel called to share it with others. Like, I remember when I was going through it, astrology was so helpful for me. And that's why I started doing YouTube videos, is because I was like, if one person can feel more seen by astrology, then I have done my due diligence for the amazing astrologers that I learned from, right? So oftentimes when we're moving through a dark night of soul, which I do think a couple of you are, because Chiron 12th house can trigger deep embedded wounds, like observing what it is that is the lifeline for you to pull you out of it, because it does feel like at some point in time you could feel called to alchemize and to share that into wisdom for others. So being gentle with the process. It won't happen overnight, but some of you are ready to start sharing, especially when Jupiter crosses over the ascendant. So my loves, that is our Jupiter conjunct Chiron transit. Truly, this is such an impactful transit where, yes, the collective sort of shadow side is being triggered, as well as our own journey, our own wounding is being triggered, but not for the purpose of allowing us to stay in that hurt, but for the purpose of giving us a new vantage point around that hurt, on the lessons that it gave us, the wisdom that it gave us, the unique story that it gave us, as well as reclaiming the parts of ourselves that we have felt have defrosted within the aftermath of that hurt, the parts of ourselves that we have lost touch with because we felt like it wasn't safe to be our own authentic self, that we were going to be judged, what have us. There is this divine reclamation. There is this divine healing taking place in the month of March astrology. And I am so grateful that you listen to this forecast to tune into this healing and empowering energy. So I want to thank Aura again for sponsoring this video. I truly believe that this app is so powerful. For me, having it as part of my daily routine has been so helpful for prioritizing my own Chiron journey, prioritizing being okay with where it is that I'm at in my healing journey. I think a lot of us, especially if we show up as a spiritual person on the internet, sometimes feel like we have to have it all together, but truly, I don't have all the answers. I share as I go. I'm very well studied as it relates to astrology, but I'm a constant student in the school of life. So constantly sharing lessons as I go. And I think Aura is such an amazing mindfulness app to have on your phone to support your brain and your healing journey with meditation, with breath work, with CBT, with life coaching. Reminder that you can get your free trial by checking out my special link, as well as if you're one of the first 500 people, if it's your lucky day, you get 25% off, and it is worth every cent. You are worth every cent. So my loves, until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.